Hey everybody, and welcome back to another video. And it's tier list time. Today, we are making a tier list of every single Lies of P boss. There's 13 of them. And we're gonna rank them based off of the quality of their aesthetics, which is general boss design, and their arena, along with the difficulty of each fight. And now, I'm not ranking it easiest to hardest, so hardest isn't going to be A, and easiest isn't going to be F. Parade Master isn't going to be the worst boss on the list, difficulty-wise. That is going to go with Kirk with tits. Fuck that fight. But rather, I'm going to be basing the difficulty off of how fair I deem the fight to be for which section of the game it's in. So before we begin, obvious spoiler warning is fucking obvious. If you don't want to know who all the bosses are in Lies of P, probably shouldn't watch this tier list. And now that that's out of the way, let's get right into the video. So there's a total of 13 main bosses that we're going to cover, and I'm going to go through this list chronologically, the order you meet them in the game. So that makes our first boss that we're going to cover the Parade Master. This guy's a powerful circus-themed parade puppet, blocking the entrance to Hotel Krat. The Parade Master is Lies of P's tutorial boss, the Udex Gundeer, the guy that blocks you from getting to your hub area. And because of that, after a couple tries, he really isn't that hard. He's probably got about 6 or 7 different attacks that you need to watch out for, but all the tells are so slow and obvious that you can pretty much just sight read this whole fight. Phase 2 changes things up a little bit. He grabs the big rod sticking out of his head and fucking decapitates himself to make a mace. That's pretty fucking creative, and definitely throws him a couple points in aesthetics. And that's gonna be a running theme with this tier list. Some of these boss designs blew my fucking nuts off. But on the other end of that, his arena fucking sucks. It's boring, it's just a courtyard. You could throw any motherfucker in here and call it good. So, he's getting docked a few points for that. And I'd give the Parade Master a 6.5 out of 10. Middle of D tier seems pretty fair. The Parade Master has a really fitting design, but he just doesn't come across as that unique, and the arena isn't doing him any favors either. And difficulty-wise, I think it's a pretty fair fight, you know? I mean, he doesn't do anything too out of this world, you know? Nobody's getting stuck at Parade Master, so, you know, I think that he's doing pretty solid difficulty-wise. And that puts the Parade Master's difficulty at a 7.5 out of 10, a solid C. And after tallying our totals, we're looking at a 7 out of 10 for the Parade Master. A low C, but what can you expect from the first boss in the game? Cut him some slack. This guy was my first real wall and the first guy that I struggled with, so I think we're gonna do difficulty first this time around. All of Scrap Watchman's attacks have something to do with those lanky ass arms. Scrap Watchman does an excellent job at letting you figure out your own play style and decide how you want to use the mechanics of Lies of P to overcome these fights. Me personally, I played this fight like it was a Sekiro boss at first, and I just tried to perfect parry all of his moves and got my fucking face smashed in over and over and over again. His main combo is those spinning slams with his arms, which give you really great tells if you're trying to perfect parry like the way I was, but it also makes it pretty easy to dodge, unless he's glowing bright red, which is a fury attack and you have to perfect parry that. He starts off phase 2 with this big ass electric AoE discharge. He gains some speed here and throws in a couple different moves with some of his previous combos and gets a couple jumping attacks, but all in all, it doesn't really change too much. And I think that the difficulty for Scrap Watchman is in like a perfect spot. I think that this is like the gas coin of Lies of P. It's going to teach you how to play and prepare you for what the rest of the game has to come. I think Scrap Watchman's deserving of a 8.5 out of 10. He's one of the most fair fights in the game, and it's good to see quality bosses early. Moving on to the aesthetics, I think Scrap Watchman has a pretty cool design. I like the idea of taking what was once a, robot or puppet of order, someone that took care of everybody in the city, and turned them into some grotesque electric spider demon that just fucks your day up. Sadly, his arena also suffers from just being a random courtyard. Another just open area in the city that he shows up in, which, I mean, isn't terrible. I get the scenery you're going for, but fuck, can we please get something a little bit more unique going on here? I'm sick of fighting people in just some random fucking courtyard. So he'll get docked a couple points for that, but all in all, I think the design's really great. The arena's meh, but I'm gonna give him a solid 7.5, a C for aesthetics. And after tallying our scores and taking the average, we're looking at a 8 out of 10 for Scrap Watchman's total rank. A low B tier, but for the second boss in the game, I think we're doing pretty good. Scrap Watchman does a great job at what he's meant to do, and I like the boss. He's a great addition to the game. Good job. Look at this creepy motherfucker. This is what I'm talking about when I said some of the designs are just fucking crazy. I think this is the first frog demon monster I've actually liked. Looking at you, Demon of Song. On a real note, this boss is kick-ass. This is some shit straight out of fucking Bloodborne. It actually does kind of remind me of the one Reborn in a weird fucked up way. But the fallen archbishop is the corrupted bishop of St. Frangelico Cathedral, where everyone was afflicted or died with the disease. He gave into his greed and changed forms, and now lives with the delusion that he is the chosen angel from God. I don't know much about the lore, but I can tell you that this guy has a fucking crazy ass design in an arena that finally is up to par. Something that isn't a fucking courtyard. We might actually get a decently high rank here on aesthetics. And if I'm being honest, I think that he gets a 9 out of 10. And that's our highest score so far by a long shot. Archbishop really raises the bar when it comes to boss quality, and I'm really excited to get to some of the later ones too, so make sure you watch this video all the way to the end. Moving on to difficulty, he's got an equally enjoyable moveset, I'd say. Archbishop is a sneaky 2-in-1 boss fight, where on one end you got the priest, who's just impossible and you can never fight him, so don't try. And on the other end you have the frog, which is a lot easier to hit, and it plays like a Bloodborne boss. He staggers a lot, and you get a lot of reposts, and it's just a super satisfying fight. It's really good. Each of the faces have completely unique attack patterns on their own, but the way that he uses his fury attacks when he's walking over you to shift to which boss you're facing is an incredibly cool idea, and I'm really happy that Lies of P decided to go on the more creative end with some of their bosses. It really worked out for them. They did a great job. So I think that puts Archbishop's difficulty at a solid 8.5. And with all that taken into account, I think we can give Archbishop a 9 out of 10. A low A. Well, I think this is going to be a bit of a controversial one, but I hate to say it. I love the Black Rabbit Brotherhood. These guys whoop my ass. Like, I imagine they whooped everybody else's ass when they first got there, but luckily enough for me, my brother gave me an ingenious idea to break the eldest brother's sword. So, if you guys haven't played the game, and I don't know why the fuck you're watching this if you haven't played the game, but every time you land a perfect parry, you do a little bit of durability damage to the opponent's weapon, and eventually it will break and they get a crazy damage cut. You can tell a weapon's breaking if it glows orange after you perform a successful perfect guard. So this boss really let me live my Sekiro 2 fantasy. But the reason why these perfect guards and weapon breaks are so important is that if you bust this guy's sword before any of the goon squad rolls out, it is so much easier. So if we really strip this boss, the primary gameplay is perfect guarding the eldest brother until the sword breaks, and then just a PvP gang squad, which is also my bread and butter, which I think is why the eldest of the Black Rabbit Brotherhood is one of my favorite fights. Now let's talk about the gang squad a little bit. What other friendly faces do we got in this fight? So after the eldest of the Black Rabbit Brotherhood loses around a quarter of his health bar, the youngest shows up. A quick, nimble, jumping, dual-wielding little bitch. The only way that I've found to deal with her in at least a semi-reasonable way is the puppet string. You can catch her during some of her attacks, especially when she's right about to jump on you, and it makes it substantially easier. But this bitch is so fucking annoying. The next member of the gang to show up is the eccentric. This guy has a spear, and that's all he does. He is undoubtedly the easiest member of the four. It's actually to the point where, I feel like I can get ahead in the fight when he shows up, because all of his moves and his windups are incredibly long and drawn out, so you can just farm backstabs off him, and each backstab refills a ton of your health. Not much more to say about this guy. He's just free backstabs and free flasks. And who's this last one? The Battle Master? Battle Maniac. The Battle Maniac, the asshole with the rapier. As you can see, my puppet string doesn't quite work as well on him, and it pissed me off. This guy is almost as annoying as the youngest, jumping in and out of your range and comboing the shit out of you. I just traded with him until he ended up dying. I always had enough flasks to at least make it work. But from here on out, there really aren't many more difficulty mechanics that we can talk about. You DPS the last guy down, and then you just fight the regular boss with a broken sword, which is, pretty easy. I died there a good couple times, but it's pretty easy. So, all in all, I think for difficulty, I'm gonna leave him at an 8. 8 out of 10. I think that it's a really fun fight. And maybe that's just beginner's luck or whatever, but I enjoyed it. And moving right along to aesthetics, I think that they probably also get an 8 out of 10. They have a really cool entrance. It's foreboding, ominous. They are all pretty cool looking designs. And the arena is pretty unique as well. They corner you in this alley like a normal gang would. I think. I don't know. I live in the Midwest. But characters are cool. The arena's cool. They earned it an 8 out of 10 for aesthetics. And that's going to bring the total for the Black Rabbit Brotherhood to an 8 out of 10. A solid B tier. I think it was a great fight. I had a lot of fun and I enjoyed it. A lot more than the second time around.
Damn you. You'll pay for that.
The King of Puppets is when Lies of P solidified itself as a standout game in the genre of Souls-like. He's got a really fun moveset that puts you in almost this dance where you're landing a perfect guard and getting hidden and repeating as he twirls around. He also tends to get staggered a lot and you can knock him out of some of his moves, which is always nice for bosses with bigger sizes. Annoyingly though, when you're about to get a stance break off, he goes into like this flail that just catches you. He's a pretty difficult fight, but it is very fair. All of his moves have super obvious tells, especially in first phase, and if you're getting hit by anything here, it's your fault. He does quite a few different AoEs, one being this tornado move, and another being the rockets that he fires that I feel like just do nothing. You could just dive in and get free hits, but maybe that also had something to do with my playstyle at the time. All in all, Puppet King Phase 1, pretty badass. Looks cool, plays fun, I like him. God damn, are the cinematics in this game good. And starting off Phase 2, Romeo has some very well telegraphed combos, and some of them even come off as a little bit slow. For some reason in my first playthrough on Phase 2, I forgot that the parry button existed, so I just dodged to the right for everything, and it seemed to work well enough. It definitely made my fight draw out a lot longer, and it may have given me a little bit more insight to his moves than what I would have originally had. Romeo's mechanics resemble something of a less polished Sister Freed Phase 1 or a Lady Maria Phase 1. And don't get it twisted, like I was saying earlier, he has very good tells for his normal combos, but as the fight draws on and his health gets lower, he buffs and the moves switch up a bit. As you can see there, he just jumped into a 10-piece combo, giving even Pontiff Sullivan a run for his money. All in all, Puppet Master's difficulty, pretty good. I think he's a fair fight. Didn't give me too much trouble, but enough to get my heart going. And because of that, we're gonna give him a 10 out of 10. I think that this boss has just about perfect difficulty. I thoroughly enjoyed the aesthetics for the fight too. Both phases 1 and 2 have incredibly cool visuals and really nice cutscenes, and all in all, super creative fight. I think they're getting a 10 out of 10 as well, marking the King of Puppets as Lies of P's first S-tier boss, and genuinely perfect in my eyes. Hats off to Lies of P devs for putting out such a quality product.
Welcome to my reign. This is where evolution becomes real. Period. I am Victor, the champion.
Wow, what an entrance. As you can clearly tell, next up we have Champion Victor. Right away you can tell that this guy's taken some inspiration from Horrorlu.
Warrior!
But contrary to Horrorlu, this roided out cage fighter gave me a pretty easy time. He has pretty well telegraphed moves, and it won't take more than a couple attempts before you get the first phase down. He has very long, drawn-out combos, which could seem a little oppressive at first, but once you figure out how to capitalize on them properly, it's no big deal. And phase 2 starts off with him chugging his secret juice. Oddly enough, his phase 2 in my first playthrough was significantly less impressive. I felt like I had a lot more downtime in the first phase. He does gain a few unique attacks in phase 2, one being this triple Vort charge, and this pretty hard to time Fury front kick. All in all, he's a pretty basic brawler type boss, and I think that's going to put him in a bit more of the average tier when it comes to difficulty. We're looking at like a 7 out of 10. And aesthetics wise, I think that it's a pretty cool fight. It's got good cutscenes, the arena's pretty unique, and the boss fight is pretty much just a Bane ripoff, which, I mean, pretty badass. So he gets a couple extra bonus points in aesthetics for being a generally cool fight. I think that it'd be fair to put him at 8 out of 10 for looks. And I think that's going to solidify his total rank at also an 8 out of 10. I'd say he's probably the highest boss in B tier. Where do I even fucking begin? This was by far my hardest boss fight in the entirety of Lies of P. He has a moveset like nothing that you've seen before, a titanically large health pool, an insanely fast status effect buildup as well. That decay will just rip through your health, and not only that, but the condition of your weapon too. Green Monster of the Swamp is a boss that's going to beat you down over and over and over again. This is when the Lies of P difficulty spike really starts hitting hard. And genuinely, if you are new to the game and struggling with the boss for hours and hours and hours, do not be afraid to summon. It's way more enjoyable to just get through the fight and move on with the game than feel like you're stuck and can't continue for hours. And this goes for all of the bosses, not just specifically this guy. You know, you can always New Game Plus and do it solo if you really care about that, which personally I do. This boss's frantic and almost feral moveset just makes it such a difficult boss to read. Don't let that ruin your hopes of besting him, because of course, like everything else in this game, skill expression is what matters the most. And once you get this guy's moves down, first phase can be trivialized. Turns out Phase 2 is a remake of one of my favorite early game bosses. If you couldn't tell by that awesome cinematic or his moveset here, that's Scrap Watchman. Only this time with a twist. Instead of being an electric demon monster, he's now a fucking whatever this thing is. Giant swamp crab, green fucking puppet eater. Safe to say, really cool design. Aesthetics wise, they did a great job for the first phase, which I didn't really mention much, but especially phase 2. They made a really cool remake out of this fight. And jumping right into our ranking here, because of that, he's sitting at an 8 out of 10. The arena is really cool, the cutscenes are really cool, whole fight's really cool. Difficulty wise, bit of a different story. Like I said at the beginning, This is the hardest boss that I have fought in Lies of P and maybe Souls games as a whole. Now, before everybody starts freaking out, I want to say that this is based off of my first playthrough. This is just my opinion on one time through. And in saying that, I think that difficulty-wise, a 7.5 seems fair. He's a later boss in the game, and you gotta respect that. And if the later bosses didn't match his difficulty at least somewhat, maybe it could have gone lower. But all in all, I think Green Monster of the Swamp is the start of a very, very difficult end of Lies of P. He's going at the bottom of B tier. For me, Corrupted Parade Master is in a bit of a weird spot. As you can hopefully see and tell by the name, it's just a Parade Master reskin. He shares a lot of the same moves, some slightly deviating from the original with status effects or mob spawns, but all in all, he does a lot of the same thing. I feel like I've seen that crawl somewhere. It's definitely apparent that it's not the same fight, but I don't know, he just doesn't really seem to fit at this point of the game. Difficulty-wise, he's a breeze compared to the last boss, and because of that, he's gonna go on the lower end of our list at around a 3. He's just way too easy for how late in the game he is, and it just doesn't hold up compared to the other fights. Aesthetics, on the other hand, are a bit of a different story. He looks really fucking cool. And just like the first iteration of this fight, you're just in a random fucking courtyard, except this time it's the same one that you were at before, which somehow makes it worse. Aesthetics-wise, that's gonna put him at a 5 out of 10, which is still failing on my scale, and that's gonna put his total at a 4, which is our lowest boss so far.
Accept your fate. Death has come for you.
Alright, here we go. Let's just start at the beginning and keep this short and concise. What made the first Black Rabbit Brotherhood fight at least kind of fun is the ability to theory craft a little bit on how you're going to tackle the boss. But just entering a room with 3 mobs and one of them has a puppet string to fucking jerk you around is just bullshit. So when you're down to one last NPC in the room, it doesn't matter who it is, fucking beefed up eldest of the Black Brotherhood jumps out of his coffin and fucking starts whooping your ass. He's just as fast and as strong as before, but now he's got a couple of AoE moves and a posture break move to catch new players. All in all, it feels like this fight was just meant to be hard. There really isn't much gameplay here apart from spacing out enemies in an arena that doesn't have anything to space them out with, and tackling the same boss we've already fought. I think that we're going to put the Black Rabbit Brotherhood at a solid 4 out of 10 for difficulty. It's too hard, it doesn't make any sense, and it's a remake. You know, I mean, it just can't rank up that high. I mean, aesthetics-wise, the arena looks kind of cool, but, I mean, it's really just the same fight as we had before, so I'm going to give that, like, a 5 out of 10. I'm giving Black Rabbit Brotherhood a total score of 5 out of 10, which is an F. I think that the Black Rabbit Brotherhood 2 fight would have been honestly better left out of the game, as sad as it is to say that. We are officially in the final 3 bosses that we're gonna cover here. Not including some honorable mentions before the last fight, but I just wanted to give a big thank you to everybody who's made it this far, and I really hope that you finish till the end, because I'm gonna leave a little extra something after it's all over. Alright, back to Laxia. What is there even to say here? This first phase is so incredibly difficult, and it is insane to me that it has its own health bar. You gotta take out this whole health bar just to get through the easier phase 1. She's got pretty slow strikes and a little bit more drawn out moves than you'd say the eldest of the Black Rabbit Brotherhood does. So phase 1 is definitely conquerable. It's when phase 2 begins that things start going a little off the rails. So phase 2 starts off with her jumping up in the air and shooting like these 4 or 5 electric bolts at you that you have to perfect parry. And if you land them, you deal a decent chunk of damage, which I feel like is a really cool mechanic, like Divine Dragon kind of shit. After that's done, though, in the fucking flash, in a blink of an eye, she's on top of you. That move is so impossible to perfect guard. The best part about this fight is deflecting that lightning, getting decent damage in, because otherwise, I don't know when you can fucking hit her. Her moveset is so insane, teleporting around the player and fucking just kicking my ass. She just kicked my ass. That's all there is to it. I got my ass whooped over and over and over again. Even watching it back, I mean, I still just don't know what the fuck's going on, like, the entire time. Maybe I'm just a boomer, getting too old for this shit, but holy fuck, is this fight just insanely difficult. I'm sorry, it's cool and all, but I gotta give it like a 3 out of 10 on difficulty. This shit just fucking blew me away. You know how I said Green Monster of the Swamp was the hardest? I lied. This is the hardest. Aesthetically, it's a pretty cool boss. We've seen her make appearances in a couple different cutscenes, but most importantly, the Victor one. I mean, she's just wearing the armor of thorns the whole game, which, I mean, pretty cool. I like Kirk. I think we'll put her a little bit higher up, like 7 or an 8. And the total for this fight is going to be a 6 out of 10. It's got cool scenery, it's got a good arena, I like the character, but I cannot stand the mechanics of the fight. It's just too hard, and it doesn't make sense. It probably does make sense, and I'm just bad, but, like, this is a first experience run, so cut me some slack.
Behold, this is Ergo. Is it not magnificent? Distilled immortality and a key that opens a world with no lies. A key that unlocks true evolution. Give thanks. Ergo is a gift from me, Simon Manus, who will transgress even God. Bow down to your God, who will be born now!
Simon what could be, for a lot of people, the very last fight in the game. Unless you're a liar. But phase 1 for this fight's pretty cool. The scenery is out of this fucking world. Simon's design is crazy, and the arena is fucking crazy, and this is only the beginning of it. Get back to me when phase 2 starts. Difficulty-wise, phase 1, pretty easy. He just kind of throws his hammer around a little bit, and there isn't really too much else to talk about, if I'm being honest. He's got a couple of AoEs and stuff, but, I mean, he just staggers too quick, and, well, I shouldn't say too quick, because I really do think the difficulty for this fight is in about a perfect spot, genuinely. Phase 1, especially, we're looking at, like, 8 or 9 out of 10 for this phase specifically. Let's jump right into phase 2 then. Keep it rolling. God, when I'm editing this right now, the runtime is already at 38 minutes and 35 seconds. This is going to be a long ass fucking video. So once again, if you took the time out of your day to watch all of this shit, I am extremely grateful for you. Thank you very much.
This is evolution. Behold, as I discard this fragile body. Witness me as I grasp the power of a true god.
Oh shit, it's Master Hand! And see, all it took was for Simon to get fingered to turn into a god. In all seriousness, that cutscene was pretty fucking cool. And this arena is fucking insane. I mean, this is just like Final Destination. That was Master Hand. I'm just playing Smash Brothers. Or at least that's what I feel like when I'm getting pelted across the fucking stage by this big-ass monster. Don't get me wrong, he's got some aggression to him, but Simon Phase 2 has so many ranged attacks, and it gets annoying. It's like Radagon, except this time a one-shot ya. All in all, Simon's first and second phase are stellar fights, difficulty-wise, and as much as I want to bitch about ranged attacks, I do believe that this fight is almost entirely fair. I really, really enjoyed it. Difficulty-wise, 10 out of 10. And moving things along, aesthetically, I'm also giving this one a 10 out of 10. Simon is one of the coolest bosses I've ever faced in any video game, and that's saying something, because I played a lot of video games. And that's going to put Simon's total rank at a 10 out of 10. He's another S-tier fight. Great job, Liza P. Devs, once again, for putting in such quality content.
I'm disappointed in you.
Fuck you, old man.
I didn't mean for this to happen. I believed you were a good boy. If you refuse, then I'll have to retrieve it myself. my son.
Nameless puppet. Holy shit. What to even fucking say. This is probably the highest quality boss, difficulty-wise, in the entire game. Nameless Puppet feels completely fair, at least to me, the entire time. He doesn't really have any hidden tricks or anything that he's gonna hit you with. You know, you never feel like you got cheated when you died by this boss. It's just incredibly fucking hard. He just feels like late game Sister Freed, Lady Maria phase 2s, you know? He has some AoE moves in second phase, but I mean, it's all fair. It's all very well telegraphed. It's just hard. And there really isn't anything wrong with that. That's my ideal boss fight. And that's why I think Nameless Puppet deserves a 10 out of 10 for difficulty as well. That cutscene was really cool. Nameless Puppet, aesthetically, is another one of the best bosses that Lies of P has to offer. He may not be as crazy as Simon, so I don't think he can get a perfect score, but I feel like a 9 out of 10 is fair for where the arena lies and the cutscenes and his animations. I mean, they're all just very, very top notch, and I mean, the Lies of P devs just blew it out of the park once again. This is a stellar boss. I think that that's gonna give Nameless Puppet's total rank a 10 out of 10 as well. I think that he's on tier with Simon and Puppet King, and deserves a spot at the very top of our list.
Close your eyes, come to me, feel alright, just dance with me all through the night, turn it up, close to you. I feel good.
Going to destroy.
'Cause I just know feeling of you. Give it to me, baby. Feel alright. I feel good. Just want you to step with me, stand with me, giving me feel alright. I feel good. Close your eyes, come to me.